This is my sketch illustration of Wednesday Addams, and today I'm going to guide you through each of the steps so that you could draw this yourself. So grab a pencil and paper and let's get started. Welcome back everyone, and thanks for joining me today. For this lesson, I'm going to start off with this 0.7mm mechanical pencil with a 2B graphite stick. Now if you don't have a mechanical pencil, anything you have around the house will work just fine. Now the first thing you want to do is set up a drawing with a series of guidelines to help with the balance and symmetry of our drawing. So we start at the very top of our page, right in the middle. Just going to draw a line coming straight down using these short lines. Pull that all the way down towards the bottom. Now we're going to go back up to the top. Let's draw another line going across from left to right. Now I'm going to use these two lines to help us create a large circle along the top of our page to define the size of the head. So from that center point, let's move up to right about here. Just going to mark off the top. Now I want to measure this distance from the center down towards the bottom and do the same thing. Let's repeat that across this horizontal line. So measuring the distance from the center over towards the left and then over towards the right. And then we want to connect the center point of each mark with a curve to create our circle. So we'll start with the top left, just working our way around. Now the circle doesn't have to be perfect. We're just using this as a guide. And just go back and just smooth this out as best we can. Let's add another set of guidelines coming down the side of our circle. So starting back on the left, extend this all the way down. Do the same thing on the right. Let's add one more line going across the bottom. Now that we've set up our drawing with the circle and guidelines, let's start blocking out the key facial features. I want to start by adding a gap in between the eyes. So from that center line, let's move over to right about here. Draw a straight line coming down. Just pull that all the way down towards the bottom. Let's measure that same distance from the center towards the right side and do the same thing. Now with the head position, I'm just going to tilt this forward so the eyes will sit along the bottom half of our circle. So we're going to start halfway between the center and the bottom. Let's draw a straight line going all the way across. Now I want to add some shape to the eyes. So from this point, we're going to step over, angle this down and in. From the top, let's slope the eye, coming down towards the side of our circle. From the outside, curve the eye, coming down, around, just tuck that up underneath on both sides. Just go back and just modify the shape so they're equal. And then you want to tuck the iris and pupil underneath the eyelid. So let's start from this point, draw a half circle coming down. I want to leave a gap across the bottom. We can always come back and reposition the eyes later. So I'm just going to place this in for now. Let's go back up to this point. We're going to angle the eyebrows, going up and then out. Now let's go all the way back down towards the bottom in the center. Draw a circle for the nose. This is the tip of the nose going all the way around. From the side, go straight out. Angle this up and then in. To the top of the nose. And I'm just going to add a little shading in the middle. From the tip of the nose, let's step down. Just going to mark off the mouth with a straight line. Now let's add some shape to the mouth. From the left side, curve the mouth going up and then down. And then just curl that up towards the ends. And add a small bracket on the end. Now from the mouth, go all the way down. I'm just going to mark off the chin. Just locate it right about here. Now that we've blocked out the face, let's add some shape to the head. We're going to start from the left side of our circle. Just going to angle the jawline, coming down and in. Do the same thing on the right. Let's angle this down and then in towards the chin. Let's go to the top half of our circle. Just going to separate this in half. I'm going to find the center point. Let's curve the hair, coming down and then out. Just aiming towards the center of the left eye and the center of the right eye. Let's follow the eyebrow towards the outside of the head. Just going to curve this out and then in for the ear. And we're just capturing the volume of the ear, the size. Let's add some more volume to the hair. We're going to start on top of the ear, then this around the head. I'm just going to follow that circle, going up towards the middle. Now let's dip that down towards the center point. Do the same thing on the right, going up, go all the way around the outside, and then in on top of the ear. Let's go halfway between the jaw and the chin. Right here, draw a straight line coming down the side of the neck. Now from the top, we're going to slope the shoulders, coming down and then out. Now we're going to locate those two braids. Let's start from the side of the ear, bend this out, come around, and then in towards the bottom. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the right, just going around the face, and then in. Now let's go to the jaw. We're going to draw the inside of the braid. Just follow that same curve. And we're going to taper this so it gets a little bit narrower across the bottom. Let's go to the base of the neck, draw two angled lines coming in towards the center, and then the collar coming down and out towards the bottom, go up and then out back towards the shoulders. Now with the rough sketch in place, I'm going to go back and clean this up by erasing some of these guidelines, and this will help us get a better look at our proportions. And once we clean up our drawing, I'm going to go back to the eyes and start adding some more shape and details. So start with the top edge of the eye. We're just going to curve this in and then down towards the tear duct. Now I want to add some thick and thin lines. So we're going to add a thick line across the top, curve the eyelid going out towards the side, and then down towards the bottom. Now I'm just going to blend that in. Let's add a little curve for the tear duct along the bottom. Close that off. And do the exact same thing on the right. Again, just thickening up the top, curving down towards the outside, and then down towards the bottom. Now I want to add some thick lashes. So I'm just going to go wider along the top, then taper that down. Add some thickness to the top of the eyelid and in. So now we're just roughing this in. We don't need to get too detailed with this. Just want to capture the right thickness. Then go back. Now you want to reposition the eyes and pupils. So if they're too close together, you want to move them out. And if they're too far apart, we'll move them in. Let's add a small highlight circle on the top left, just roughing that in very lightly. In the center of the eye, we're going to add a smaller circle for the pupil, going in behind that highlight. Now let's add a fold. We're going to add a fold on the inside of the eye, coming down and across the top of the eye. It's going to darken up the pupil, and also lighter shade for the iris. And a little fold underneath the eyes. Now let's move down and add some more shape to the nose. So just going to bring this down towards a point. Just going to round this out. Just tapering that up towards the top. Add a little bit of shading along the outside of the nose. Add that little divot just below the nose towards the mouth. And I want to add some more shape to the mouth. So I'm going to add a little point in the center, bend this up and then out towards the side. And curl that up towards the corner of the mouth. A little bit of shading. And then we'll add the upper lip. Start with that curve in the center. Bend this down and then out towards the side. Let's add the lower lip. And there's a fold across the chin, just underneath the lip. I'm going to go back and do a quick cleanup before we continue. Let's move to the side of the hair. We're just going to bend the cheek coming around. Now let's just pull that in to enhance the cheekbones. Just line that up on the right. I'm just going to fade that in. And I'm just going to continue with the jaw, just rounding at that point around the jaw. Down towards the chin, and then we'll round out the chin. Let's add a little divot in the center with a little bit of shading. Now just up along the top, we're just going to separate the strands of hair, just working within that bounding area. We just want to separate the tip of the hair coming in towards the eye, just adding that texture, just brushing this up and then across towards the top and the middle. Do the same thing over on the right side. Just brushing this over the ear and then out. Now from the side of the hair, I'm just going to go up and then in around the head. going to go back and draw the inside edge of the eyebrows. Working our way down along the side of the nose bridge. Add a little bit of thickness to the eyebrow. And in between the hair. Now we're going to add some more shape to the ears, just working again within that bounding area on that half circle. Let's add a fold on the outside and a hook beside the head. Now from the center, it's going to brush that texture coming down and then out. Now I can leave a little gap along the sides. And just brushing that out. And from the sides, we'll just work our way in. Got a little curve to the neck. Now the collar is going to sit on top of the neck, so we're just going to pull that out. Come in towards the center and just wrap the collar around the side of the neck. I'm just going to shade the inside of the collar. Add a slight bend. The collar coming down. Bend this up and then out. And then just round out the top edge of the collar. Now to create a simple braid, we're just going to draw a line in the center on both sides. So let's define the outside edge first. And then draw a line down the center. Now let's go back up the top. I'm just going to draw a V coming in towards that center line and then back up towards the inside. Let's leave a gap and just continue this all the way down towards the bottom. Let's do the same thing on the right. And we want to try to line this up on the left and right side. Now with each section on the outside, I'm just going to round them out, coming in towards that line. And then do the same thing on the inside, just bending this around and just tucking that in. Now I want to take this line, just going to curve this in and then down toward that next line below. So this is the start of the braid, just overlapping all the way down toward the bottom and going the opposite direction on the right side. So I got this nice little, almost like a leaf shape along the outside. Now we're going to go back and just clean up our drawing. Now once we're happy with the general proportions, I'm going to go in with my darker pencil. This is my 0.9mm, and just add some more contrast to our drawing. Just tracing out all our contours and also layering on some more details as we go. Now we're going to layer on some lashes, just pulling this up from the top and then just brushing them out. And then along the bottom, just going to pull some of these lines coming down. Just darken up the center of the pupils, again going in behind that highlight. And I'll darken up the top of the iris. And I'm just going to gradually fade that down towards the bottom to create a bit of a glare effect. Let's darken up the upper lip. Now with the lower lip, I'm just going to darken up the sides and then fade that in. Just add a little bit of texture inside the lip. Do the same thing on the right. And darken up the bottom of the lip and just fade that up to create a bit of a highlight along the top area of the lip. I'm just going to move out to the side and just refine the shape of the head. Again, adding that thick line across the top just underneath the hair and tapering that in. And continue along the jaw towards the chin. Now I'm going to go back and just refine the texture of the hair and just darken out those edges. And we can extend some of these lines a little bit longer and some shorter. I'm just going to work my way across the side of the head towards the top. I'm just going to continue to bring some of that texture inside. So we create this nice little highlight in the center of the hair. So we want to darken up the inside edge and the outside. Now with the braids, I want to continue that curve along the outside, coming in, and I'll bend that down. So just tapering that line, so we fade it out across the bottom. So the thicker lines along the outside. And it's nice to kind of keep the detail along the outside of the face a little bit looser, so you draw that attention back towards the face. Now along the inside, I'm just going to bend this in and then down. So a slight curve. Now I'm going to show you a cool method on how to add simple shadows. So we're going to start with the hard outside edge of the shadow line. From the outside of the eye, I'm just going to curve this around the cheek and in, and then from the cheek coming down. So we're just bending this around the face towards the bottom. Now from the inside of the eye, coming down towards a point on either side. Now this hair is going to cast a shadow on top of the forehead. So we're just outlining the outer edge of that hard shadow, and just want to lightly shade the inside of that bounding area. Just very lightly, working our way around the eyes. Also across the bottom edge of the nose. And now the nose is going to cast a shadow coming down toward that divot and then back up. And it'll lightly shade the inside. Just cast the shadow from the head coming down an angle across the neck. Do a little highlight edge on the right side. And then we'll lightly shade that in. Now let's go back to the braid. Want to add some texture of hair from the outside, just brushing this in and and then from the inside, bending this up and then out. So again, we leave a little bit of a highlight in the center of each braid. And then from the inside, brushing this up and then out. Now we're going to switch to the side edge of my 2mm pencil and just soften up the shadows. So along the base of the hair, I'm just going to follow the curve and then just brush that texture going up and then in. Just a nice soft texture coming up on the side, and then from the center, just going to soften that up coming down and out. Let's do the same thing with the braids. So with the outside, I'm just going to leave a small gap just to create a bit of a core shadow. A little bit of light just leaking over the edge of the braid. And this will help give a little bit more shape to the braids. But then along the bottom, I'm just going to darken that up. Darken up the shirt going around the collar. And I'm just going to finish off by adding some of those black tears coming down from the eyes. So we're just going to go darker along the top and just wiggle our pencil coming down. Now, as we get closer to the end, I'm just going to tighten up our shadows and details, and always be sure to sign our artwork, and that's pretty much it. There's a sketch illustration of Wednesday Addams. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. If you did, you might want to check out this video over here. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.